Hey guys, Dr. Jake Dodds here, and we're continuing that conversation of helping migraine headaches. And we're talking about one of the overall themes today that's going to be some of our really important content, which is this idea of structure. Now, it's such a simple idea, we almost don't even think about it or give it much credit sometimes, but structure is simply the simple idea that the human body is designed to work from a certain position. And the further away the human body gets away from that position, the more it's going to affect how the body functions. So again, we don't really give it much conscious thought, but we've all been there. We've seen people walking around, and if somebody is going around their day like this, or if you've seen someone walking around like this, what do you think of that person? Is it yeah, they look good, or is it man, that person's really struggling? Or what would you think about their health? Probably not the best, right? We don't even really need to think about that. We just immediately have that reaction. It can almost be cringeworthy when we see someone really struggling with their posture. And again, it's because it's built into how we function as human beings. Now, we do know this innately, and because of that, a lot more people are turning towards structural correction as a foundation for their healthcare decisions. However, there's a couple challenges or misconceptions built in here. So misconception number one is that posture structure is a game of just being aware. All you have to do is think about your posture. All you have to do is realize that you're in a bad position, and then all you have to do is put yourself in a better spot. Easy, right? Wrong. Because posture is a lot like breathing. You can consciously control your breathing, right? But how often does that happen throughout the day? Probably less than 1%, right? That's just kind of a background thing that your body takes care of and keeps us alive, and the part of our brain that's responsible for that is in charge of that show. So that's not really true. Of course anyone can force themselves in a position for a second or two, but the second you stop thinking about it, if you just collapse to a bad spot, that's not really a basis for correcting your structure moving forward. So what we really need to move into is this idea of automatic. Your brain controls things automatically, and it's also called the autonomic nervous system. So again, this is the part that controls your heart rate, your digestion. All these things, again, we may not always give credit to it, but they're the things that keep us alive, and our brain's running at 24/7. So the real game is we need to put your body in an environment where it automatically gets itself into a good structure. And of course, we're gonna be talking about what exactly that entails moving forward. But this is really important because I hear this all the time of just be more aware, just put some more willpower into it. That's not how it works. It's a losing game. We need to get into this conversation of automatic. So misconception number two here is one that I hear all the time. And it's that all you need to do is either strengthen a certain muscle or stretch a certain muscle so you can rebalance your body and get to a good spot. And it's not that it's completely wrong, but in my opinion, it leaves out some really big players. Because what we really have are three big players in this game. The human body, what we have is we have bones that form joints. And what I'm drawing here is just some rudimentary bones in the neck, for example. Because I see this all the time. The bones are supposed to be in a nice stack here. And so we have bones that form joints, ideally in a nice straight position when we're talking about the neck. Then what we have is we have the muscles. We have the soft tissue. So muscles, ligaments, tendons, fascia, they all work together and they allow these joints to move. So we have all these muscles that attach to these joints and allows movement to occur. So that is a big player in the game and it needs to be regarded as such, but it's not the only player in the game. So the third part here is one that I never hear talked about, which I think is absolutely criminal because it's how the body works. So going to every single muscle in the human body, we have nerves. And nerves tell your muscles what to do. So if we have a nerve that's freaking out for whatever reason, and again, we'll talk more about why and how that can happen moving forward, guess what starts happening to the muscle here? It starts freaking out too. It gets really tight. And I hear this a lot from people. I have this muscle and it's crimping me down and I feel like I can't get it to move for anything. And it's where people end up in frustration land because if the only conversation is oh, you got a tight muscle, let's stretch it out. Well, hey, if you got a nerve that's telling the muscle to contract and you're trying to stretch it out at the same time, it's a bad game of tug of war. You end up again in that frustration land. And again, it's a losing battle. So the real game here when we're talking about structures, we need to recognize and appreciate how the body functions, which again is we have bones that form joints, we have muscles, ligaments, and tendons that move those joints, as well as the fascia, and then we have the nerves that tell those what to do. So it can become this complicated game of chicken or egg, where is the actual problem coming from? And again, we're gonna get more into the nitty gritty of how to start peeling those layers back. But if nothing else, Know and give yourself that freedom that, hey, we have a 3-player game here and they all need to be working together for this thing to work. So again, there's some simplicity here and then there's also some complexity, but know the players in the game and know that those are all layers that need to be peeled back. So this was our overview for why structure is so important, especially as it relates to migraine headaches. We're going to be getting more into some of those other layers as we move forward here, so stay tuned for future episodes.